All right, let's talk about fear. We all know that feeling, right? That knot in your stomach, that little voice in your head screaming at you to just stop, to turn back. But what if we've been reading that signal completely wrong this whole time? What if fear isn't actually a stop sign? What if it's a compass? I mean, from the time we're kids, that's the default setting, isn't it? Fear means danger. Fear means, nope, don't go there. It's the universal signal to just back away and retreat to safety. And look, sometimes that's for a very good reason, but not always. So here's the big idea for this whole explainer. What if that exact same feeling of fear is actually a map? What if it's pointing you directly toward the one thing you need to do most, pointing you toward a bigger, fuller version of your life? Okay, so first, let's really dig into that traditional view. Looking at fear as a big red stop sign. And what happens when we live that way? See, when fear is a stop sign, it builds these walls around us. And inside those walls is what we can call our safe zone. Everything in there is familiar, it's cozy, it's comfortable. The only problem, it's also where all growth just stops. Fear literally becomes the wall that boxes you in. And this is the real danger, right here. It's not about one scary moment. It's about a whole lifetime of avoiding those moments. If you only ever do the things you already know how to do, you're going to look back in a few years and realize you're just stuck. You'll be comfortable, for sure, but you'll be stuck. So, let's completely flip that script. What if we start thinking about fear not as a wall that stops us, but as a guide that shows us the way? This slide, right here, this is the entire shift in thinking. On one side, you've got the stop sign, the barrier that keeps your world small. But on the other, you've got the compass. It's the same feeling, the same signal, but you're interpreting it as a tool that points you toward growth, toward the person you're trying to become. And think about it for a second. You don't get scared when you're pouring a bowl of cereal, right? You don't get that knot in your stomach when you're brushing your teeth. Fear only really shows up when the stakes are high, when something is actually meaningful to you. Its presence is proof that something important is on the line. And this isn't just some nice theory. We can actually see this exact principle in action. So get this. This was the exact question running through the head of the author of our source material, Barry J. McDonald, right as he was about to publish his very first book. He was absolutely terrified, his hand just hovering over that publish button, thinking, who am I to do this? People are going to laugh at me. And this just perfectly shows the whole process. That intense fear he was feeling, that wasn't a signal to stop. No way. It was a signal that becoming a writer mattered deeply to him. So by pushing through that feeling, he didn't just publish a book. He totally changed his own identity. The fear wasn't the roadblock, it was the gateway. And the same exact pattern showed up later when he started a podcast. All those classic fears came rushing back. What if people hate my voice? What if I run out of things to say? But by then, he recognized the signal. He knew that fear was just pointing him toward another big opportunity to grow, to stretch himself, and to help people. There's a really great analogy for this choice that we all face pretty much every day. Just imagine you're standing in a forest, and there are two paths in front of you. So, one path is easy, it's paved, it's comfortable, it feels really safe. But it only leads you back to places you've already been. And then there's the other path. It's rocky, it's a little intimidating, maybe a little scary. That's the one. That's the one that leads to a much better view. That's the path of growth. And that feeling of fear, well, that's just the signpost at the beginning of the trail. It's the marker that's basically telling you, hey, the view, the breakthrough, it's this way. Okay, so a really quick but super important clarification here. This isn't about being reckless. We're not talking about ignoring the kind of fear that keeps you from, jumping in front of a bus. This is all about the psychological fears, the ones that pop up around your dreams, your goals, and your true potential. That's not a danger sign. That's a direction. So, how do we actually do this? How do we turn this cool idea into something we actually practice in our lives? Well, it starts with one simple tweak. You just have to change the question you ask yourself. The old question is, how can I avoid this feeling? But the new, much more powerful question is, wait a minute, what is this fear pointing me toward? When you feel that fear, get curious about it. And the process from there is actually pretty simple. First, just identify the direction the compass is pointing. What's the dream or goal that fear is latched onto? Then, and this is key, don't try to do it all at once. Just take one tiny, small step in that direction. And finally, just repeat. That's it.
And over time, as you keep doing this, a huge transformation happens. Fear stops being this paralyzing wall that blocks your way, and it turns into a guiding signpost that actually lights up the path ahead. It becomes a tool, an advisor, a guide.
So I'll leave you with this one final thought to chew on. Right now, in your life, what are you afraid of? Is it starting that project, having that tough conversation, putting your work out there for the world to see? Whatever it is, don't run from it. Look closer. That isn't your stop sign. That's your compass. So where is it pointing you?